percent overall from the field, but he was also 50% from threes. He's 5 of 10.
I know you're out there. It's okay. Stand back there.
No, more than likely, you're going to get that number one seed. And so I want Houston to be ranked at number one.
Welcome in to this special edition of Let's Rage Coogs. Obviously, we're coming off not a game, but the big announcement. The University of Houston Cougars football team has its guy. They named their 16th head coach in the University of Houston football history, and that man is Willie Fritz, who just came off the heels of playing in his second consecutive American Athletic Conference championship game, had won back-to-back AAC Coach of the Year awards, and has 31. Can you hear me? Test.
There we go.
Check.
There we go. Yeah, you're back now.
I am thrilled because he was a guy that I had number one on my board. Test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Because he was the number one guy that I had on my board, and the resume, much more so than anything else, is what really stood out to me. And looking at the reaction so far from the morning, it seems like there is a lot of positive vibes around the hire. Just launched a poll probably like about 30 minutes ago, less than 30 minutes ago, and so far we're roughly around 60 people have voted, and 77% of those 60 absolutely love the hire. But joining me as always, Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review and Dayon Dunlap. Welcome into this special edition of Let's Rage Coogs. What are your guys' stuff? Cutting off, I'm not sure, but we're live. We got to go through it. Rex says Willie Fritzmas with the sad emoji. What are your thoughts?
Coach Fritz was my top choice as well. It's done. People are happy. Most Coug fans are happy. Big Jack 512 says let's rage, baby. That's a pod. Thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it. It's a good hire. It's a stable hire. It's a 5-year deal. Haven't heard the money part of it, but Coach Fritz provides some stability. You know, some are concerned about his age, but he's 63. I'm not sure that's much different than Nick Saban. But he's a stable hire. He's a 180 from Dana Holgorsen in terms of a lot of different things. Coaching, X's and O's, media savvy, all that as well. Dan, what do you think? And welcome. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I think it's good. I think it checks a lot of boxes. Like you guys just said, that I'm not even going to mention Holgorsen. I'm going to try not to. But I think it matches a lot of hire. He's a winner. He's built programs at each level. He's won at every level, every stop he's been at. And so, I mean, I think they got it right. My only reservation would be how much of recruiting is he going to, how good of a recruiter. And the head coach doesn't necessarily have to be a good recruiter. It's about the staff around him and assembling a good staff. But I guess that's my only reservation. But other than that, I like the hire. Love it.
Andy, Big Jack says maturity.
Yeah.
We're not going to say that other person's name, Dayon. We're going to try to be like Dayon and not name the other person. But I think fans will prefer, with comments about Coach Fritz, might be as a slight to the previous coach, who I will do better of no longer naming as we move forward on Let's Rage Coogs. How about that?
Yeah. Let's let his ship just sail. Let's rejoice in that. And I mean, like Coach Fritz, just already thinking about the staff. Will Nugavi stay on? If I mispronounce his name, my apologies. Will he stay on staff? Fans been shimmering from Brian Early to stay on staff. So now we're just looking about as far as the staff who you bring. Will Pratt come over with him to challenge Jonathan Smith for the starting quarterback? But not even that. How good of recruiting Houston players currently on the roster will he do? Because a lot of talent on that roster, a lot of freshmen from their last freshman class, a lot of talent there, and some good young talent. So I'm happy with the hire. I love it. It can only go up from here, regards to the last guy who was at the helm.
And
That's
let
a
me say
great
this,
point.
Andy, real quick about the press release that UH sent out. Cougar fans and supporters are invited to attend Coach Fritz's intro press conference and welcome party at noon Monday inside the TDECU Stadium Cougar Club. Doors will open at 11:30. So it'll start at noon. Doors open at 11:30 if you want to stop by and be part of the celebration, the new era in Houston Cougar football.
Juan M says it's a beautiful day. I see a lot of people adopting this phrase, Merry Fritzmas, Coug Nation, Big Jack 512. That's yeah, that is interesting to see how his staff shapes up. And Aggie obviously came over from Tulane. They have that relationship, so it'll be interesting to see what those moves on the coaching staff look like. Going back to Big Jack's original comment about maturity, I think the way he handled the entire Tulane exit and that's part of the game where you absolutely hate, especially specifically when it comes to the players. And obviously, the Green Wave didn't have the end to the season that they would have wanted, the way that championship game turned out. But I do want to put this comment or this video from after the American Athletic Conference championship game. Not only Willie Fritz handling the questions about potential coaching moves, but what really stood out to me from this clip is how Michael Pratt stepped up and spoke.
Ball game right now. Do you plan to speak to the officials now that the game's over? I put everything into this game, this week, made sure there wasn't any distractions. And I just want to focus on this ball game right now. Do you think all the reports had an effect on your team's game? I don't think so. This guy, it's when you have success, that happens. Last year, this year, it's just the way it is.
So the clip cut off, but not only how he handled, but immediately when the question was asked, you could see players' facial reaction. They're nodding, and to me, that shows the loyalty that they had, really the belief that they had in their head coach, and that's something where, especially if you have fans, I don't know if they had that same viewpoint when it came to, again, he who will not be named in the previous admin. That's something that you're trying to turn around. And then going back to the Houston Cougars press release, Willie Fritz's quote in that news release, he says, "I'm truly humbled and honored to join the University of Houston family, to be a part of the strong athletics tradition at U of H. There's no ceiling for success with the incredible fan support, excellent facilities, talented young men, and a collective desire to compete for championships. We will build a program that all Cougs can be proud of, and I cannot wait to see results." And quote, it's a new day. There's a lot more excitement, and I know obviously now it's the honeymoon period, but we'll see how it goes. Now the real work begins.
If I could go real quick before you jump in, Kris, I agree with Coach Fritz and the players. When you line it up, you on the field, you're not thinking about coach going somewhere else. You lining up, beating the man right in front of you. So I think that's overblown from fans and media perspective. When men are on the field playing the game, I don't think that has an effect on a play-to-play basis in the outcome of a game. That's just my opinion, though.
I'm curious at this response from Kissy Cat, this second response. "I'm not happy Cougs are not preppy Tulane." Please elaborate with more your comments in the discussion, because what does that mean by Cougs are not preppy Tulane? I don't know.
I don't really know what it means, but I think I love the hire, like I said, but just my only reservations would be just how good of a recruiting can him and staff do and build. I don't want to say it's easy, but Tulane and being successful in the American, it's just like, to me, it's like, okay. Cincinnati leaves, their coaches leave, so it's easy. No one else to really compete against there. And I love the hire, though. His resume speaks volumes. I love it.
Real quickly before we jump into anything else, I'd like to thank you for today's sponsor of Let's Rage Coogs, a special edition of Let's Rage Coogs reacting to the new hire of Willie Fritz as the 16th head coach in the history of the University of Houston Cougars football program. Star Pizza, with multiple locations across the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game or after a new head coach. Be sure to stop by any of their locations every Tuesday during lunchtime for an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet. Star Pizza, as always, has had free delivery since 1976. Yes, I'm curious to that comment. Kissy Cat's really focusing on the fact that Tulane was a private school. To me, that strengthens my confidence in Fritz, because he showed that he's been able to turn Tulane into a winning program, which before Fritz got there, they were nowhere close to being a competitive football team. Since the turn of the century, when it became 2000, what they had appeared in 2 bowl games, they had very, very minuscule success, and it took time. It didn't happen overnight, but he was able to turn that into a legitimate program that even before Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF headed for the Big 12, they beat Houston with a third-string quarterback, and that defense was phenomenal. And that's a big reason why he was kind of the mastermind, the architect behind the turnaround. It wasn't without adversity. They were able to handle adversity in 2021. They were 2-10. They faced so many problems just when it comes to off the field, when it came to the hurricane that displaced them. But to me, that adversity, and not just Tulane, all the previous other stops he's had before, is why I'm really confident in this hire. Specifically, I feel like Houston, the way he's been able to build programs is a mentality that will thrive in UH, which is kind of similar to the men's basketball Calvin Sampson blue collar mentality, in my opinion.
And he's won with less budget, less finance, less food, nutrition, all kinds of things.
Less competition as well in regards to American.
Well, but the previous guy here didn't do that. Even do that.
Oh, he's better than him.
So
last year think about it. Last year in the American, they had a veteran quarterback. They ended up getting drafted in the NFL. They had a clear-cut
running back as well.
Yes, and then they had
Spears.
Receiver with Tank Dell as well.
Oh, you're talking about Houston. Houston. Oh, my bad.
I'm talking about Houston that last year in the American. They weren't able to bottle that into success, whereas Tulane, they did it in 2022 where, let's be honest, they kind of came out of left field, especially after 2021. No one expected them to have that strong of a season. They followed that up in 2023, and they lived up to their expectations, which is something that's not easy to do, as we saw here in Houston following the success they had in 21, and they couldn't continue it in 2022.
I agree. Just looking at the landscape of the American, though, you got to be realistic around the competition that they face. But I agree. No pushback from me. I love the hire. I love his resume. And like you said, Andy, I think it's going to be predicated on building a winning culture, a no excuses culture. Too many excuses from the last guy, and just bad winning culture. And I think he'll be able to settle it down. And like we've seen current high school recruits, and probably, like I've said this before, current recruits on the roster who are from the city of Houston, they have pride in Houston and being a part of Houston. And so I think he does recruit the current players well, and does recruit well, and he'd be good in the portal. And so I love the hire. I'm confident that he will be successful.
And we don't have word on the staff and who's going to bring in, who's going to retain. It should we should assume that he might keep Coach Nagavi based on their relationship at Tulane previously. If not, it's on Coach Fritz, Coach Early, all those guys that are currently on the staff at Houston. I think Coach Fritz will meet with them and see where their head's at, and see if they vibe with his vision for the program. It'll be his decision, good or bad. Some fans may not like what he decides to do. He may not decide to retain Coach Early. He may not decide to retain Coach Nagavi, all those things, but it's his decision. As Andy said, it's a honeymoon period for a while. Who was it? Who said, was it Juan? Yeah, Juan said he was going to cancel tickets, but now he's going to upgrade them for the upcoming season. That's music to Tillman Fertitta's and Chris Pesman's ears to do that. It's But tomorrow's the official opening of the portal. So he's got to re-recruit the current Cougs, hit that portal. I know, who is it, Coach Corby Meekin's interim coach. Someone for Houston was contacting guys in the portal because what was it? Someone, an O-lineman with the Aggies, posted that he received a conversation, whatever, from the Cougs about being in the portal, and he's a 3 or 4 star guy. So Houston football was still working during this week without a head coach. It's positive. This is the time to see what Coach Fritz can do. He has connections here in the area, connections to the state. It's on and on. And I'm guessing Casey Cat is being a troll now. It was a Fertitta decision. So, and it was a President Couture decision. I think the president had more say in this decision than previously. I received word in the last few days that basically Willie Fritz was 180 from Dana. The president liked him because of that perspective. Well, she saw what didn't work with the previous head coach, going a different direction. We'll see if this works. It's got a 5-year deal to get it done. Andy, we can talk about the quote from Mr. Money, Mr. Billionaire? Where is it?
Yes, from Tillman Fertitta. From the news release.
Go ahead.
He said, so I'll read it, Chris. He said, and I quote, "From the outset of our search, Coach Willie Fritz stood out for his track record of championship-level success across all levels of collegiate football. His achievements and reputation stand toe-to-toe with the best and brightest in the game. Our mission is to be a leader in the Big 12 Conference and provide our fans and donors a product they can be proud of. We're excited to welcome Coach Fritz and his family to Houston and look forward to bright days together for Houston football." And quote, again, that is coming straight from the UH System Board of Regents Chairman Tillman Fertitta. So that key phrase too, but the main one that they've been talking about consistently, championship level caliber success. That's what Houston is aiming for, and that's what they feel that Willie Fritz could get them to.
And Tillman is the billionaire supporter for UH, but he's not the only money person behind this decision. I think Tillman was the last one to agree to remove the previous administration head coach because other money folks were stepping up and said it was time to make a change. So Tillman, he has some say, but he doesn't have the entire say with this decision like he did in the previous one. Let's go with that. And now we'll see if Coach Fritz is the right person for the job, like many of us believe. He's got to prove it. Got to get on the field, get it done with media, get done in recruiting, and get it done in the Big 12. Big boy football, we'll see if Houston football, the administration, does what it takes to compete for championships in the Big 12. Coach Sampson said it in his weekly presser a few days ago. The administration has one job to do, to make us better, as in coaches. That's basketball, football, to help us be better. Volleyball, track, all those things. They have to do their part to help the coaches, give the coaches the resources they need to compete for championships in the Big 12.
Coach Fritz fits Houston, underdog program, underdog coach, like in regards to comparing him to on a national level to other coaches. So I think he has a chance to make his claim in being a legendary coach. If he brings Houston to prominence with the resume that he has and doing it at a stop here, this could really propel him to legendary status in regards to coaching at the in the coaching period. And so, like I said, I keep saying I love the hire. Of course, different reservations that I may have to just really want to wait and see how it transpires. But Houston got a proven winner in the head, man. Actually, funny story. When I was an undergrad interning at KPRC, I was actually interning in the sports with Laney Fritz, his daughter, whom we still converse, not really much at all, but I'm going to send her a congratulations text for her father as well. But so I don't want to say I know the family, but I know her, and she's really, really nice person.
It's a small world. You'd be surprised how much everyone knows everyone. I want to bring up this comment by E.I. Crab Tree 77. So just based on Tulane's player excitement about playing for Fritz, it's great. He's a player's coach. They loved him at Tulane. Great hire for Houston, given the other candidates. And I do like to reiterate that there is a lot of excitement, obviously, from outside the program when it comes to fans support. But there's a lot of excitement within the program too, top to bottom. So it's going to be curious to see how that continues to build and how that translates to, what comes next. Kris, you mentioned that the transfer portal opens tomorrow. How many players potentially come here to Houston? How many still end up deciding to move on and head for a different program? And I also want to read the quote from UH President Renu Couture, again, from that press release, from the news release that they sent out roughly almost 2 hours ago. We're thrilled to welcome Coach Fritz to the University of Houston, and we look forward to him elevating our football program to new heights in the Big 12 Conference. Coach Fritz has an impressive track record both on and off the field of maximizing the potential of student athletes, which is a testament to his leadership. We're excited to have him as a part of our Cougar family and look forward to more exciting moments next fall at TDECU Stadium. So again, what I've noticed from Fertitta's and Couture's comments, they've really had an emphasis on that leadership component aspect of it. And I don't think that's a coincidence, like we just mentioned. He who will not be named wasn't necessarily always the best example of that.
Agreed. And there's not much more to be said about that. That's all it is. Coach Fritz is a leader. He's won on the previous levels at every stop he's been. It's taken time to build programs. That's part of sustained success. Now he's got a chance to do it in the Power 4/Power 2, inevitably Power 2, but Power 4 with Houston in the Big 12.
If I could shift the conversation a little bit, what do you guys think if he brings Michael Pratt with him in regards to compete? If Donovan Smith decides to stay, he's more than capable of joining the portal or making whatever decisions best for him in his future. But what do you guys think if he brings Michael Pratt over? Or Michael Pratt joins him, not brings him, but you know what I mean.
I'm all about competition. Right. Iron sharpens iron. May the better person win.
And at the end of the day, as a new head coach, he's trying to establish his culture, how he wants to run his program. And just by bringing, a veteran quarterback that knows what he was able to establish at Tulane, that's only going to be to the betterment of whether it is Donovan Smith, whoever is on the quarterback roster, but top to bottom across the entire roster. Like, these are the expectations, these are the standards that Fritz established at Tulane. He's going to try to translate over to Houston. I personally would love it if that were the case. We shall see.
Yeah, competition. You get better practice by going against people as good, if not better than you. And that's part of being a championship caliber team, is to have depth throughout the roster, quality depth throughout the roster.
And that's something that we mentioned last week during our last special emergency Let's Rage Coogs. That wasn't necessarily always the case over the course of the last few seasons.
Right. And we're basing it on stability. Coach Fritz provides
leadership.
Leadership definitely provides that. Now he's got to get it done here. He's won in previous stops. Now he's got to win here. What he'll do next season, we got to see what he does.
Going to be interesting to see, of course, as he's filled out his staff, who's going to be the OC, DC. I think he'll keep Nagavi on unless he was not like how he left. You never know what the relationship would be like. That. Yeah, you never know. Mm-hmm. But I'm only looking at those OC, DC hires, see what kind of system he would like to implement in regards to how they offensively and defensively, and because that's going to predicate on a lot of players in regards to if they want to stay and if they fit the system that's going to be in place. And so I love the timing of it. With the portal open up tomorrow, I'm sure that he's meeting with the players today and going to speak with them and probably be hopefully honest with them and what they can do and how much chance they really have to compete and get playing time. And so I love it, man. I'm rejoicing. It's a beautiful day to be a Coug.
It seems like we well, I don't know if we say we did anything to convince, but Kissy Cat singing a bit of a different tune. She survived 2 Danas. She can watch this. I'm curious to see who she might have had at the top of her list when it came to the coaching hire. Crabtree, again, 77. Does Golden leave going to be interesting? And again, it's a lot of wait and see. Dan, to your point, the players are going to meet with Fritz. within a quick turnaround, and then it's very fast. So transfer portal opens tomorrow. He's going to be officially introduced to the public around noon tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of kind of everything accelerated because of just the process of where Houston and just overall the college football landscape is at this point. But it'll be curious to see how many of the players are bought in eventually. Ultimately, that's going to be the difference between who decides to stay and who decides to leave.
Golden is one of those players who's been adamant in having pride in being from Houston and being a part of Houston Renaissance to being a part. So if he has better opportunities and decides to pursue that, we don't know. We'll wait to see, like Andy just said. But from what I've seen from him, I think he's one of those players who's been championing and even on Twitter and in recruiting and having pride being from the city. Joseph Manjack is from the city. And so it's a lot of players from Houston I think will be I don't know, but I think they'll be prideful. But like we just said, I mean, they got to meet with coach, the new system, and see how it all plays out.
And I don't wording this. I'm going to try to be careful with my words. I don't begrudge any player who leaves a program for NIL money, whatever the money is. I hope it's, a lot of money for you to leave a program and go to another program. But at some point, if you are only up in it for the check rather than winning and competing with championships, I don't want you part of my program, whoever that may be. If you want to win a championship and you believe you can do it here or whatever program you're currently at, great. But if you're just going to a program, wherever program it is, Michigan, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, whatever, just to get paid and not win a championship, then that's the kind of mentality I don't want on my team.
I understand that, and no disagreements, but I would just say from a player's perspective, you got to do what's best because it's only a small percentage who goes pro. And so if you have a chance to cash out and have a chance to create and generate some form of revenue for yourself, and if you make the proper investments, can play into generational wealth or wealth in general, then you do that. I think championship and all that stuff, it's cool, but ultimately it's what's best for you, in my opinion. But so that's what I'm saying. I'm not really disagreeing with you, Kris. I get the gist of what you're saying.
I know what you're saying, but there are some in any sport, football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, whatever. All they want to do is think about their brand and don't really care about winning. If you're one of those players, you go get your brand. Go do you. Don't be here.
Mr. Cardenas brings up a great point. The one transfer rule might force some of the players to stay instead of transferring and waiting a year to play. And EI Crabtree, 77 again. Tulane was 6th in rush defense this year. Much needed improvement on defense coming, he believes. So again, just a lot of excitement up in the air. Overall, top to bottom, C. Alba says, comes down to the culture and guys wanting to stay there as well. Down to your point, I think the loyalty to Houston, or just in terms of that kind of hometown mentality, is something that is definitely a big factor, an underrated factor in terms of what a lot of players consider and ultimately leads to their decision. But we shall see. It again, still very early. Curious to see how it plays out. But even to that point of NIL, Cliff Taylor says money should not be permitted to be a weapon for schools to use against each other. It actually ruins competition.
I disagree with that.
But what I was going to say to the topic of NIL and money, now that there is a sense of optimism that just quite frankly just has not been around the Houston Cougars football program since right before the beginning of the 2022 season, when there was a lot of expectations to the ceiling of that team, maybe we start to see more willingness from companies, from businesses to be involved in NIL with the Houston Cougars football program, because one, going back to the statements from Couture and Fertitta, if there is a strong presence of leadership at the top, it makes them more willing at the end of the day. And it kind of sucks to say it this way, but the football program overall, top to bottom, is kind of like a brand. Not sure if companies and businesses were willing to be associated with the brand all the time in the past few seasons.
That's a great point.
It's a great point, but it's also, and Coach Sampson has said it, and even the guy who's no longer here said it, that UH was behind in terms of NIL investing in the athletes. Will that increase, improve because of the change in who is now the head coach? Will some companies, will some alums, will boosters, collective, what have you, say, well, yeah, you got the right man in charge now, somebody I respect, somebody who I believe can help UH win championships. Yes, I'm going to spend more money, in the program. Will that happen? Like I said, there are some wealthy, it's not just Tillman who has money with Houston. Will those folks step up and say, all right, now let's get this done? We shall see.
I think they will too. I think both of you guys just made some very excellent points. And like we said, I think Coach Fritz is going to do a better job in advertising and building that hope and marketing Houston and what it could be and marketing himself in the program and the brand. And so I think business wise, I wouldn't, if I had the money, I wouldn't have invested in the last. I wouldn't have invested either. So both of you guys made really, really, really great points for sure.
Now, it's not a bottomless pit, because with your investment, and of course, I'm not a millionaire. None of us are yet. Put it out there, present into existence, that we become that at some point. But as an investment, at some point in the future, you will want to see a return on your investment.
Yeah.
Whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because, hey, I'm spending all this money and you're not winning championships. Well, why am I going to continue spending this money if you're not winning championships? That's down the line. But right now, I believe in this man. I'm going to go into my money and talk to my folks, and we're going to do SMU kind of thing and put in $100 million in a week. Something like that. Will that happen? We shall see.
Only time will tell. Real quickly, let's make a quick pause as we begin to wrap things up again. Thank you for each and every single one of you guys that has spent time to watch today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, a special episode of Let's Rage Coogs reacting to the University of Houston Cougars football program naming their 16th head coach in the program's history, and that being Willie Fritz. Of course, we also like to say thank you to our secondary sponsor for today's episode, in Star Pizza, with multiple locations across the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to stop by any one of their locations every Tuesday during lunchtime for an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet. Star Pizza, as always, has free delivery at all 3 of their locations since 1976. And on that point, first game of the season for Willie Fritz will officially be August 31st. Against UNLV.
Stop right there.
Now and then.
Stop right there.
Ahead.
Season opener. Coach Fritz, Houston Cougar debut as head coach. Based on that period, right there alone, it should be a sellout.
Yep.
Not for UNLV, who the Cougars are playing. None of that. Coach Fritz, Houston Cougar debut as head coach, should be a sellout. We as fans, and we're alums as well, I'm speaking personally. I'm challenging everybody. I've said it. I beat it. The horse is dead. And many times I've beaten it on it. Stop relying on the opponent. Support the Cougars. Support where you spend your money. Support where you went to school. Support the Cougars football team, not the opponent. Don't wait for, it's not the Longhorns. It's not Oklahoma. It's not Alabama. It's not TCU. Support the University of Houston and the Houston Cougars football team.
Couldn't have said it better. Make a statement, honestly. That's the thing. That there was so many complaints, especially this season, once the big circle schedules of opponents in Texas and TCU were in the rearview mirror, where it was the excuse like, well, we don't necessarily trust the guy in charge. That's not an excuse now.
Yep.
Make a statement. Make a
because
statement.
I've harped on it. We've harped on it. The administration is slow, dragged their feet. They made the change. They did what fans wanted to see. They made a change, brought a new coach, which I think most fans like this new head coach. Support. Show that support. Let's make the game, season opener, a sellout.
For sure. Fans ask for the administration to prove that they are wanting to compete for championships, and they did that by removing the last head coach and investing in a new head guy and a buyout and all that. So now it's up to us as fans and alums ourselves to do what Andy and Kris just said, to support. And for me, actually being able to go to different college arenas and towns Houston, it's not a college town, as we all know, and so just actually being
No,
in go.
go
ahead,
ahead.
Andy. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even Tank Dell mentioned it when he said that he and CJ Stroud went to a UH football game, and CJ Stroud told them that during the bye week they'll go to Ohio State, and you'll see what a real college football environment. Again, this is coming from players' mouths. Now, fans don't have that excuse; they have to be able to turn it around. And E.I. Crabtree said it best: your fans and alums need to show up. Stop making excuses like he who will not be named was known for, per Crabtree.
Yeah, we'll say Crabtree.
Right. Because a lot of fans clamored, they didn't support the Cougs when the Cougs were not in the Big 12. Well, the Cougs are not in the Big 12. That excuse is gone. Okay. Now I got rid of that previous coach. He's gone. What else do you have? Support. And I'm not asking folks to spend money they don't have. If you have the money, if you have the means, support the Houston Cougars football program, the athletic program, the university. There's so many different ways to support the University of Houston. Time to support. I mean, it sounds crass to say it. Put up or shut up. I mean, really, put up or shut up. You got what you want now. We got the head coach. That other guy's gone. We're in the Big 12. Big boy football. Big boy athletics.
Facilities being upgraded.
All these things. We said we needed all these different things. Support the Houston Cougars football team. And then baseball, other athletics as well.
Agreed.
Either we're big time football, big time athletics, or we're not.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better. Kles Taylor makes a great point. It's not even expensive, and the games are going to be great. Yep, Crabtree, really proud of UH leadership the past few weeks. Made tough decisions, set high expectations. Everyone should be pumped. Houston has no ceiling, like Fritz said. And we shall see. We shall see how that looks, and put up or shut up time, like you mentioned, Kris, and it begins tomorrow.
This is true as well. It's a fan culture problem. You got to build it. I know.
Yep.
I'm older than Deion and Andy. It's got to start. It's time to start. It's a new era. Let's start now, building a new fan culture, a new football culture where we're going to support the Houston Cougars, not the opponent. Coach Sampson said it years ago when he got here. It takes a while to build it up. It takes a while to establish that culture, that fan support. Let's start with football today, going forward, supporting the Houston Cougars football team. It's a new era. Let's start with the fan support today.
Agreed. Couldn't have said it better myself. And that, again, like you said, Kris, put up or shut up time. August 31st, 2024 is the beginning of the Fritz era. Really, it begins tomorrow, Monday, December 4th, when he gets officially introduced, and they're going to make it open to the public. They'll have a celebration for the introduction of Fritz. But with that being said, I'll toss it over to you guys. Any final remarks or points that you guys like to make?
Well, I'll go first. Thank you, as always, for everybody for joining us on this impromptu edition of Let's Rage Coogs. We appreciate your support. I'm headed to Fertitta for basketball, women's basketball, and then we'll be doing it, I guess, a post game Wednesday after the Cougs, I think, mash Rice in men's basketball. So, but always follow me, Houston Roundbar Review, on the social media platforms, and we'll see you in a few days.
Yes, sir. And like Kris said, thank you to each and every single one of you guys that took the opportunity to watch this, whether it was on the Potsdamer Jammer YouTube channel or X account, as well as on the Houston Raw Ball Review YouTube channel. If you are watching us live, please take a minute to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already in those respective platforms. It really helps us out. And if you're listening to audio only, thank you guys as well. Be sure to leave some ratings. Rex says hopefully we have a spring game this year too. We shall see. And of course, thank you to Star Pizza for being a sponsor of today's episode, with multiple locations, 3 locations to be exact, across the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to stop by any of their locations every Tuesday during lunchtime for an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet. Star Pizza, as always, has had free delivery since 1976. People can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Yanez_5. Again, can never say thank you enough. And Dayan, toss it over to you, sir.
I'm excited about the new era. Like Kris and Andy, and like we all just said, let's support. Let's help change the culture, because not only can we depend on him to do it internally with the team, but we could do it externally with supporting with the crowds and everything like that. So go out to the press conference if you can tomorrow. It starts there. And we appreciate the support. Everyone tuning in and tapping in. Other people are copying what we've done. And so it could be duplicated, but you can't replicate the product of what we've been putting out. And so I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Coach Fritz is a winner, a proven winner. I think he would be a much better leader than Houston has had in previous years. And so I'm excited. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Dayon Dunlap, but it shows on the screen. Go Cougs, baby. 2. Go Cougs. It's time, baby. The administration, they stepped up. That's what we asked for. Let's do it.